Hello, Canada, and welcome to the Hangout. My name is Akil Augustine, and this is your home for Talking Hoops. Of course, every week we have a special guest, a bunch of panelists who know the game. I'm going to start off on the end. That's my man, Dan Gladman, who will be producing the Raptors playoff games.
Woo.
The Raps are in the playoffs.
Amazing. Let's get it started.
All right.
Yeah.
You guys know him and love him because the Canadian high school basketball scene has been blowing up, and he's been covering the whole process. That is my man, Drew Ebanks of On Point Basketball. Thank you for joining us, Drew.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and then the young lady who's doing all the heckling on the couch. This is Aaliyah Jasmine. This is one of our favorite television personalities. Your first time on the couch. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, let's get into it. 82 games ago, we thought Rudy Gay would be leading the Toronto Raptors to maybe a 6-7 spot in the Eastern Conference playoffs. 82 games later, Rudy Gay's not on the team. Your Toronto Raptors sit in the third spot in the Eastern Conference. I'll start with you, Aaliyah. Just your impression of the season, and what was the turning point for you?
I think everyone knows, like, when Rudy Gay left, I think that was the turning point. I mean, I can't believe how well they did after that. And this is going to sound so cheesy, and don't hate me for saying this, but I also think the whole Drake thing was a really big turning point. Like, I know people hate saying that, but, like, as someone who goes to the games live, you notice it. If you go to those games, you notice how the fans have just, like, the entire vibe of the live scene at those games has just been amazing.
So Drake's picked up the energy in the building. For you guys, what's been your turning point? Dan, I'll start with you.
Well, I do have to agree with Aaliyah. I mean, the Rudy Gay trade that night, everything, there was just a weight of the world came off everybody's shoulders and everyone could play more loose. But if we're going to go to a basketball moment, for me, it was January 27th.
Is this LA?
No. Okay. Fortuitously, in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center, it was a 1-point game. Darren Williams was inbounding the ball for the Nets.
Big steal.
Patrick
Patterson makes the steal, gets it to Kyle Lowry. Lowry finds Patterson on kind of the break. Patterson banks it in. And it was that game where I realized we got ourselves a team here. This is a team that's got guts, they have desire, and they have a real possibility of doing special things.
Drew, Raptors 3, Nets 6. The Nets, listen, I'm not a fan of losing basketball games down the stretch because you want to be playing your best basketball when the playoffs come. Aaliyah, we talked about this a little earlier. I'll let you chime in. But the Nets lost those games to play the Toronto Raptors. Yes or no, Drew?
Of course, 100%. They lost 4 or 5 getting into the playoffs. They just kind of backed their way down into that preferable matchup, and it is the Raptors. And the funny thing is, you know, the saying goes, be careful what you wish for.
Yep.
I mean, the Raptors are ready to go. I think DeMar is the guy that is really going to be key for them. Is he going to be able to be that superstar? If he's that superstar, then I think the Raptors really should win. They got to try to get 1 at home, for sure, get 1 at home, get 2 at home.
No, you got to win 2 at home.
You want to win 2 at home because you know what's going to happen. When you get down to New York, the referees are not going to be kind. The Zebras are going to be all against you.
There's one part to it that I think people might leave out. Sure, it looks like the Nets wanted to face the Raptors, but you have to look at what the alternative was, and that was Chicago.
100%.
And last year, I know the Nets are a much different team, but last year Chicago humiliated the Nets, and I think it was in a Game 7, and it was. If you're the Nets, you're scared of the Bulls. So the Raptors seemed like a better alternative, but I think they're going to run into a bit of a problem there as well.
I don't think there's a question either that the Nets didn't want to play the Bulls, but that being said, just to be devil's advocate, the Nets are also an older team, and so there is a possibility, and I'm just putting it out there, that maybe the coaches just wanted to rest their guys before the playoffs. Like, regardless
of experience thing too, right?
Yeah,
it's
like
experience
before the playoffs start, let's rest our starting guys, our big guys, and then when we start the playoffs, they're well rested and then they can go out there. I mean, I'm just saying that.
And Jason Kidd does coach from a player's perspective, having been a player recently. He understands the breakdown of the body, but for me, something that kind of scares me right now, after Tuesday, there's 3 days off. Until they match up Friday, you'll be out there in Brooklyn.
That suits the Nets just fine.
It plays really well to the Nets. So what are the Raptors, like, once the Raptors hit Brooklyn, that series changes. They need to steal at least 1 Dan in Brooklyn. Yes or no?
Well, I mean, absolutely. It's going to depend on how they do at home. If they win the 2 games at home, games 1 and 2, the pressure is going to be on Brooklyn to win both at home, because then Toronto could be coming home with a chance to wrap it up in 5. So we're getting way ahead of ourselves. But
1 at a time.
Well, that's what's next.
I can tell you right now what Coach Casey is saying to his team is, Game 1, Game 1, Game 1. All you can look at right now is Game 1. Go out there, win that. We saw this in 2007 when the Raptors were the division champs. They played the New Jersey Nets in that first first series, and New Jersey came in and stole game 1, and then for the rest of the series, the Raptors were playing catch-up, so they need to establish right away.
All right, Dan, so pick it. How many games? Who takes it? I think I know who he's picking, though.
Raptors in 7.
Raptors in 7.
Wow.
Well, just to piggyback of what you said, I think it's the Drake effect. That's what I called it, a few months ago. The guys on the Raptors, they want to, be successful. They know that basketball is. Toronto's going to be the center.
Were you using a Drake song?
No, not really. Not really. You know what I mean? There it goes.
Looks sad.
Hey, they want to make Drake proud, and everybody wants to be. I think Toronto's going to be the center of the basketball universe in the next few years with the All-Star game and everything. And I really think I'm giving Raptors in 6.
All right,
Drake effect.
That's me too.
Remember
I'm
that.
Raps in 6.
All right.
And I also have to say that I'm really excited for the playoffs to be in Toronto because I think our boy, when Drake's hosting all these guys, and the strip clubs are going to make so much
Okay, that's it.
money.
We got to go to break. He'll be back on the Hangout.
Wow, I love it.
It's true.